Well, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, the 30th of April at 6 o'clock. We start and we ask the doctor anything. This is Tustin Longevity Center here in Tustin, Southern California. And I am Dr. Ellithorpe, and we are a group of uh, six healthcare providers who are doing functional medicine, integrative medicine, alternative medicine, complementary medicine, various names for the same thing, which is really preventive medicine. And we take questions from the general audience. We do this as a service to our patients, our family, and our friends. And if this is a value to you, we would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and share this with your family and friends. You can contact us at our website, tlcdoctors.com, and you can get on our mailing list, and then you can type up your questions here, and you'll get a notification. And in that notification will be a link where you can type in your question, and that'll go directly to questions that come to me. I just finished a very long and hard day of work, and we get these handed to me with minutes ahead of our broadcasting. So this is all cold turkey for me, as well as all your questions. We then go and we work out. So I'm in my workout clothes now because that's the only time that works for me to do my workout, heavy weight lifting with my husband 3 times a week. So we'll go through these emails, and we will then do the YouTube live questions. When we see a live question, we'll try to defer to the live audience first. And again, this is not meant to be any personal recommendation or management to you individually. This is how I would generally respond to questions like this with my 43 years of practicing medicine in general practice, family practice environment, and all the years of integrative functional medicine. My second doctorate is in integrative medicine. So let's go ahead and begin. We have a live question starting to come in from Debbie. Says, "Hi, Dr. Rita. I hear mineral supplements must be organic living minerals, as our bodies cannot process inorganic minerals. Inorganic gets deposited in our joints, arteries, kidneys, etc., causing problems? Question mark. Well, it's not that we can't take inorganic minerals in. It's just their ability to be absorbed is very, very minimal. So if you take calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, these are oxidized forms of a mineral, and they would maybe be 3-4% absorbed. So yes, we want what we call amino acid chelated, linked to an amino acid, so that our body knows how to take in amino acids very nicely. We have transport along the lining of our gastrointestinal system that recognizes amino acids. So you would like magnesium glycinate, calcium glycinate, uh, magnesium citrate, things like that. And these amino acid chelates are best produced by a company called Albion, Albion. That's the leading in food research mineral chelated amino acid minerals. And that's the direction that you would want to go. So the absorption then becomes massively increased, and the distribution. So that's why if you eat a healthy diet of meat and fish and chicken and poultry and eggs and raw dairy, these natural sources are full of the amino acids with the minerals in them. And so as you get older, your cell membranes start to get these little holes in them, like you can see in my picture there. and you leak out the contents of the cell will die. In the evening, when you go to bed, you're supposed to repair it to a double phospholipid layer. That cell membrane is all that separates you from the world. And so you can easily be hurting your gut and create these little holes in the gut called leaky gut. And it increases with age because our rate to repair is depending on you eating the fat and the proteins that have to go in there. Minerals can come out easily and damage cell membranes, like you see in this picture right here. So the older you get, the harder it is for you to hold on to and repair your cell membranes and the things that they need. So it becomes more often that you'll get leg cramps at night. You will need maybe an extra mineral supplement, and that's why we use the Albion chelated multimineral TLC multimins. But we do recommend using digestive enzymes to have enough stomach acid to help you digest and help with the breakdown of the proteins and the fats so that they are in a form that they can be picked up by the transporters that are in the lining of your gut, and you'll get the minerals that are associated with them. It's much more difficult with plants or an all plant diet. So that was Debbie. Now let's go to some of our questions over here. And we have another Deborah. Okay, Deborah said, what can I do to help move along a 6 by 4 millimeter kidney stone? I'm drinking water and exercising. Also, I had an abdominal CAT scan with and without contrast a month ago, and nothing showed up. That doesn't mean that it wasn't there, but it could have still been there. A month later, I have a kidney stone. What can I do to prevent kidney stones? Well, typically, they'll tell you to go on a low oxalate diet because most of these stones are calcium oxalate stones. It is a calcium that is oxidized. And what promotes that? Eating a largely plant-rich diet, beans and leafy vegetables like spinach. I think the recommended dose or limit for eating oxalate-rich foods like spinach, kale, other leafy greens is 100 milligrams per day. But if you have beans and potatoes and rice husk, brown rice with a husk on it, and maybe some spinach and like a stew. You put all that into like a stew or something. You can easily hit 500, 600, 1,000 or more milligrams of oxalate in one serving from a oxalate-rich diet. Now, there's lots of foods that have oxalates in them. These oxalates are, in the plant. They are also in meat and fish and poultry and pork, but less so, much less so in a general rule. Although I've been told since I've had 2 kidney stones, and I both times had to go to the hospital to get it removed. Once when I was the ER doctor and I was just working my butt off 12, 16-hour shifts, I would never drink enough water. I wouldn't eat right because I was eating on the fly. And so I got those stones. And then another time when I think I was about 60 years old, maybe 10 years ago or so. And again, I was just working here too much, too hard, too long, and I was not drinking enough water. So I would say the number one thing is 2 liters of water, about 10 to 12 glasses of water a day is probably what we all need, and none of us are doing, including myself. So I have a game where I have a 2-liter bottle and I fill it up every single morning in my home. Before I leave for work, I drink 1/2 of that big bottle with my vitamins and during my Bible reading and preparing for work. And then when I get home at night, I drink the other liter. So I'm pretty good at getting 2 liters in. Maybe 2.5 would be better for me to be half my weight as pounds as ounces a day. But water is extremely critical. Of course, filtered water would be the best. So, since many foods have oxalates in it, it's depressing to try and screen out oxalates because it's part of the plant and world kingdom. Because animals eat plants, and we do get it that way as well. But in general, beans and leafy green vegetables, tea. What else? I guess you would have to go on the computer and find out what are the highest oxalate rich foods there are. Uh, I think the key though is to be well hydrated. And the other thing I do is I do a amino acid chelated multimineral that has the magnesium in it and the potassium and the manganese and the selenium. And that helps me have a very good magnesium level. And that's generally very, very low in the population. Magnesium deficiency is the number one mineral deficiency in Americans. And that's because of our processed diet, our industrialized farming that's terrible on the land, stripping the land of its nutrient wealth. And so we all become magnesium deficient, which means the vasculature gets stiff. You know, you need magnesium to smooth muscle, relax. So I do believe that my dedication to taking amino acid chelated TLC multi-min, I do that every day of my life now in the past 10 years for sure, since my last kidney stone. And I just I feel wonderful. Let's put it that way. And I do EDTA chelation therapy, which also is improving microcirculation, so that I'm getting a nice relaxation of my smooth muscles on my ureters. And because when I had that kidney stone the last time, I tried all the home remedies. I tried taking Coke and asparagus, mixing it together to be a shock to my um, uh, kidney system and diuresis and dilate the vessels. And I went a week in terrible pain. And I wound up getting some hydronephrosis on my kidney drainage from the kidney down to the bladder. So I hurt my tubes a little bit from that. Um, so that's what I would say. Number one, 10 to 12 glasses of water a day. Um, don't hesitate using a good mineralized Celtic salt. Get a multi-mineral in of a high quality Albion amino acid chelates, and to avoid, a lot of spinach. And I like spinach. I could eat a whole can of spinach with butter and salt and pepper. I used to, buy that nice can of cooked spinach, but I can't do that anymore. So that's what I would say, Deborah. Other live questions coming in. Caroline says, according to my Apple Watch, my BPM is usually in the 90s. My husband is in the 60s. It doesn't seem healthy. How to lower it? My BPM, beats per minute, I assume is what that stands for. I'm not sure 90 is wrong, Carolyn. I don't know if you're on thyroid medication. Um, in general, I have found the blood type A's to have a slightly higher blood beats per minute than an O or an AB or a B type blood. And I would want to know your blood type. I'd want to know your thyroid function, your free T3, your thyroid stimulating hormone. I would want to know your water and your urine specific gravity. If you're drinking enough water, then you have a low specific gravity, meaning you're well hydrated and your urine is not dense. I would want to know how much you're exercising. I would want to know what your magnesium level is, and a red blood cell mineral analysis will help show that to me. So those would be some of the things, Carolyn, I would want to begin to look at. Brent says in the live chat, hello, doctor and sister in Christ, praise the Lord. I've been feeling much better using Lugol's iodine. Wonderful. Do you use this with your clients, especially thyroid conditions? All the time, Brent, but I don't use the Lugol solution. I use a tablet, and that's because accidentally people knock it over and they'll lose the money because it spills and then it stains. So I try and avoid that by using it in a tablet form. David Brownstein is the author and family practice doctor up in Michigan who wrote the book called Iodine and really popularized how America has been stripped also of the salt iodine, which is associated with lower mental focus and lower IQ and confidence and breast cancer, prostate cancer, various other things. So I use the tablet form. Each one has 12.5 milligrams, and that's what I use. But you're so right, Brent. I I would say in my personal population over the decades here, when I test for iodine sufficiency with a challenge test, I have my patients take 4 tablets, 12.5 each is 50 milligrams. And then I collect a 24-hour urine sample. If the body is deficient, it'll hold on to a good portion of that iodine. So you don't urinate the majority of it out. It should be urinated out if you're sufficient in the salt of iodine. Well, I would say 96.7% of my patients were all and are all deficient. So I would see them maybe urinate out 60% or something like that, and that's terrible. So we use the iodine 1 or 2 tablets a day, and very often I don't repeat it because I've never seen a problem with 12.5 milligrams for every human being once a day. If you're about 80 pounds or more, then you need about 1 tablet, 12.5 milligrams a day. So that's that story. Christina says, hi, Dr. Rita. My kids and I have a congested cough, mucus in the lungs from a virus. Do you have any tips to get over this? Thank you. Well, I would definitely look at your diet and how much sugar, starch, bread, pasta, sugar drinks, juices are in your diet because that's all immunosuppressive. The high fructose corn syrup that's in these sodas and juices and energy drinks are just full of high fructose corn syrup. It will depress your immune system. Secondly, I would get your vitamin D levels checked in yourself and your children. And I would want a vitamin D level close to 80 uh, micrograms per deciliter. And I would encourage you to use a good multivitamin. What I'm getting at is vitamin A. Vitamin A is very important to the mucous membranes, vision, many other things in your body. And with a multivitamin, usually there's zinc in there. That zinc also is associated with antiviral protection. It stops the virus from replicating itself. And I would consider getting a powdered vitamin C to put a little bit in water for everyone to have their first glass of water with vitamin C because we don't make any vitamin C. So those would be my first approaches. If you can get some Argentine silver, that is a broad spectrum antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and you can squirt it up your nose. Sometimes I have it in a mist. I'll spray it and I'll just inhale the mist if I want to get it in my bronchi to clear that out. Um, so those would be some good points to begin with. That's safe for kids, little toddlers, and all. Um, Brent says, I love Dr. Brownstein. I just discovered him. Wonderful. I'm taking 6.5 currently. Should I up the dose? Well, I take for my patients 12.5 milligrams is what I give everyone on a baseline. David Brownstein, Dr. Brownstein, really recommends 25 milligrams or two of the tablets. I tend to oscillate on the little lower end, 12 and a half to 25. Um, and Brent goes on to say, should I up the dose? I had terrible headaches, brain fog in the beginning. What cofactors do you recommend to reduce? Well, that's another area of for headaches and uh, brain fog. I would get the sugar certainly down, and I would take a very good methyl B complex with vitamin D, and get a good night's sleep. And that's the direction with your iodine that I would do. In general, I make sure every one of my patients is good in their vitamin D, approaching an 80 nanogram per deciliter, 80 of the D3. Then I give them all iodine. Then I put them all on a low carb diet. Then I get them all on Juice Plus. That's my go to for the research and the data across many aspects of human bodily functions, DNA damage reduction, longevity, immune building. And so for my antioxidant go-to, it's Juice Plus. And then I will give each of them systemic enzymes to decrease inflammation on an empty stomach. And then I will give a multi-mineral to get extra zinc and magnesium, another selenium, anti-cancer benefits. That's my basic core that I do with, I would say, every one of my patients. And that's because of all this industrialized farming. They're raping the land. We no longer have family farms with 300, 1,000 acres. Instead, we have industrial businesses that have thousands of acres, and they just mow it over, they glyphosate it, spray it, they turn it over, and it's just being raped for its service. The minerals, the nitrogen content, potassium, uh, uh, is just sad. It's really low. So we have to therefore then take good supplements, unfortunately. We are marketed to, and the system is run by the American Dietetic Association's recommendations by men who are tied to the food industry. And so I think they have compromised positions, and they probably know little to nothing about nutrition. They just enjoy the prestige and the membership on boards and their company association affiliations with food companies that industrialize, farm, and rape the land. And it's just a sickness picture, and it's a raping of the land. Let's see. Heidi says, question, I have a friend whose mother is in stage 3B kidney failure. She asks about she asks about a diet for her mother and for her so she can be ready to give a kidney if needed. I think the renal diet is false. Well, um, I would want to know what they think is causing the failure, her weight, her circulation, her electrolytes, her blood type, her blood sugars, her insulin level, her cardiovascular status. I have found, and we have done with EDTA chelation therapy, which is an IV that you put into your vein. We take the amino acid that is made called ethylene diamine tetracetic acid. It chelates out toxic metals like lead, aluminum, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, and the like. And when it does that, it also is associated with improving platelet function, blood flow, less tendency toward blood clotting. Microcirculation is tremendously improved. If you go to the YouTube and put in TACT, TACT update 2019, Dr. Lamas, the head of cardiology at Cedar Sinai, The National Institute of Health did a 10-year study on heart attack victims managed by the standard of care, and then put into 4 groups. And in the 4 groups, those that got the chelation with a good multi-mineral supplement did incredibly well. It's a criminal thing, in my personal opinion, that the cardiology college of cardiology has not endorsed chelation therapy as the most safe cardiovascular rescue for heart attack and any ischemic vascular blood flow problem whatsoever. The data was so impressive, reducing up to 51% absolute risk reduction. We're not talking relative and fiddling with the numbers. We actually see a 51% reduction. So shame on them from hiding this from the population. Now, when you do that, it'll help the circulation everywhere in the body, from your brain dementia down to your toe fungus and gangrene toes for diabetics, and that includes the kidneys. It improves the circulation there. That's why I give all my kidney failure patients the EDTA chelation. And nephrologists, specialists of the kidney, have done chelation studies and found that they can stop the progressive damage with EDTA chelation therapy. I think his name is Dr. Lee, L-I or L-E-E. Anyway, he did about 7 different publications of studies where he took his stage 4, 3, 2, and level creatinine counts. And he found as the creatinine level was getting higher and higher and the function diminishing, as soon as he introduced chelation, it stabilized and some improvement was noticed. Over and over, he repeated these tests clinically 7 different times. So it's undoubtable that no one can challenge this. It does work. Now, you don't give the same dose you would to a person with kidney disease that you would do with someone who is a healthy person with normal kidney function. You have to have a person who is experienced and trained in giving those IVs, but it's extremely safe. But you would reduce the amount of chelation, you would check the creatinine, and you would wait and see as they progress. Then you could somewhat increase the EDTA dosage. There is the Academy for the Advancement of Medicine, ACAM, the American Academy for the Advancement of Medicine, ACAM.org. This is where physicians get taught of how to do chelation. I'm one of the teachers. Dr. Dorothy Merritt, Merritt. If you do that YouTube where you put in TACT Update 2019 DR Lamas, Lamas, when that YouTube page unfolds, usually the next video or 2 under it, you'll see a lovely little brown-haired woman with glasses on, and her name is Dorothy Merritt, and she'll go over a didactic lecture on the history of chelation, why it's so great. She covers the kidney, nephrology, and many other uh, important points that we teach to doctors about that. So hopefully that would help your mother. As far as the diet goes, I would use a whole food. I would never use processed food. I would eat in a time restricted zone, say 11 to 5, and I would eat vegetables and protein. I would use a modest amount of spices like salt and pepper and maybe some garlic or onion powder, onions. And then intermittent fasting helps this. Adequate water will help it. So that would be some starter points I would put out there for you. Let's see, where are we at? That was Heidi. Carolyn said, a nose spray that I purchased in the past was recalled because it may be contaminated with bacteria. What could happen, or should the concern be? Well, that's why I give usually a name brand, and the name brand nose spray that has silver in it, that is half strength from what we physicians get, is called Sovereign Silver. And the same company that makes it for me, the physician, uh, which is called Argentine Silver 23, that's the one you can buy over the counter, Sovereign Silver, and bacteria cannot and should not and will not grow in it. Vanessa says, "Hi, do you have any remedies for age-related macular degeneration? Thank you." Yes, the EDTA chelation, we've actually had absolute dramatic stoppage of the progression of the disease. Some of the people that I've had are in their late 80s now, going into their 90s, and they were so bad they were losing their driver's license, and then they were getting injections of atrovastin, eye injections, uh, twice a week. And then after doing chelation with a low carb diet, taking systemic enzymes, not eating late, drinking plenty of water, and using a good multi-mineral enzymes, vitamin D, and so forth. The ophthalmologist dropped the injections into the eye from twice a week to once a week, and then every other week, and then once a month, and then every 3 months. And do you think that ophthalmologist ever called me to ask me what I'm doing to his patient that had brought a cessation to the progression of their macular degeneration? No, they never call. If you make too much money, you're too comfortable to learn anything else. So that's what I think is the problem with medicine. And if you don't love God and love people, to work hard and study, to be a doctor, you have to study all the time. And you have to go to these conferences, meet doctors, learn things that have been out there and studied and published on for decades. And you're very safe in moving forward and employing them into your diet. So I think that's the problem we have. Um, let's see, Vanessa, what are your thoughts on spirulina supplements? Don't use them. These green drinks and shakes and all this smoothie stuff is so full of the same lectins over and over down your throat. Usually they have sugars in them. They are becoming a inflamer of the gut where you would see these little holes poked in. That spirulina will leak right through if you take in these big glasses every day of your life. I don't care what green drink it is. There's 14 different one of them out there, and that volume of all that powder you're taking down is just impacting you terribly. So I'm not in favor of it. Sorry. Um, then there's other issues like when they try and get these chlorophyll rich products, God made chlorophyll to try and help the plant photosynthesis, and they need and they can use magnesium, and they pull out mercury from the environment, so it helps detox the planet. So anywhere you go, whether it's the chlorophyll and such that you get from the algae and the ocean, it's mercury contaminated. And so, unbeknownst to people thinking they're doing something good, they're actually getting mercury dosings in their body from that. And that is something that in chemistry, analytical chemistry, is not well reported, nor do many doctors at all understand the significance or even how to look for it, let alone test for it. So these green drinks, these chlorophyll and spirulinas and all that, is just has been a bad thing over the decades that I've seen. Um, Heidi says, she says they said they don't know why she is in failure. Well, quite a few things are called idiopathic because the doctors don't know. Well, I'll tell you what, we have great success in fixing it with EDTA chelation, a extremely low carb diet, time restricted eating, adequate hydration of water that's filtered, systemic enzymes, digestive enzymes as you age or earlier if you're blood type A, adequate vitamin D, a methylated B complex, and albion chelated minerals that assist, and then eating just the whole foods, nothing processed. Written in the DNA is your healing message. Psalm 139 talks about how fearfully and wonderfully we were made, and how your parts were written for, quoted in the book. That book is your DNA, and you got to read Psalm 139, and you'll realize how smart God is and how dumb we are. So, praise the Lord. Idiopathic just means, they're not going to do any extra work to learn why, or even trust that the body could heal itself. That's very sad. Um, just so sad in medicine, my whole profession. Um, Brett says, thank you for that. I just bought some of the EDTA suppositories for mercury. Very good. And again, even in the alternative complementary functional medicine world, you're going to find doctors like myself who are going to say EDTA does not chelate mercury. And all I can say to them is that's not true. It does a very good job pulling out mercury. I've been around EDTA chelation and the calcium disodium EDTA because you can get sodium EDTA. I never use the sodium. I use calcium disodium always. In only an extreme rare time would I ever use disodium. It just pulls out the mercury and is a beautiful chelator. God is so good, always gives his children something to deal with the evil challenges of their day. So, yes, I'm afraid I will herx like I did with higher iodine. Uh, when is the best time to take binders? I usually recommend inserting a rectal suppository for EDTA chelation at nighttime. Plenty of water, away from eating food at least 4 hours, and then taking systemic enzymes with a big glass of water. All right, the next thing. Heidi says, thank you so much. Okay, let's go to more of these email questions. Carl says, hello again, Dr. E. What are your thoughts on microdosing psilocybin mushrooms for OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disease patients? Do you have any personal experiences, stories you can share with us? More medical story time with Dr. E. Well, I am going to say I am not impressed with mushrooms, psilocybins for this, in particular the mushroom family. Now, the mushrooms are very good with CD8, CD4 T cell function in the immune system, but that doesn't necessarily translate into mood support. I really would say exercise is going to be my go-to answer for OCD and PTSD. Exercise has been exploding in research reports. There's myosins and other micromolecules. See, when you see this little damaged cell membrane, you might see these little dots right here. This is little dots and fragments coming off of this thing. They have many functions in the body. And so if your muscle cell is ripped with exercise, stimulation for repair and healing, which has secondary euphoric, mood elevating phenomena, being on adequate vitamin D, having a routine where you make yourself get up in the morning with the sunrise, go out in your sandals and then step on the grass and ground yourself on the earth for a minute or two and let those negative ions just discharge into the earth. Drink adequate water so you alkalinize yourself, and try and do some kind of weightlifting, regular basis, 2-3 times or so a week, upper and lower body, real heavy weights on the machines, and some form of aerobic, or have your pet that you have to walk vigorously, not some old little pet that moseys along and sniffs every flower. We're talking about getting that good, 30-minute brisk walk in most days of the week added to your weight training. Putting those things together with a morning routine of getting that sunshine, the vitamin D supplement, as well as from the sunshine in the morning. Morning ultraviolet lights are so healing. You don't get those bad UV lights that are associated with skin cancer. Grounding, standing with your feet in the grass. I just did it this morning, and it just floods me the minute I step in the grass and I feel the tickle and the moisture on my feet. And then I look up and I see the sun starting to peek through. I'm just filled with gratitude and respect for this great creation of this world and God's word. Because usually I do that after I do my Bible reading, because it's dark in the morning when I do my Bible reading. Then the next question is, Helen, I just visited my breast surgeon who removed a radial scar, in 2021 and did a great job. Well, that's good. She has the opinion that hormone replacement therapy should only be for 10 years. The doctors at TLC do not believe this, right? Correct. My understanding is that hormone replacement therapy is safe for the rest of my life, correct? Well, I joke with my husband and family saying, when I die, put some extra hormones in my casket, because I'm going to want them with me all my life. And so, men have hormones all the way through, and women are blessed with the general anabolic construction, general contractor activity that hormones give us for our cardiovascular system, for our bone structure, for our brain calmness, for our sleep, for our skin, our elastin collagen, for our hair growth, our nails, for our depth of sleep and our mood, just so many wonderful things. Now, you have to be on a low carb diet. I won't give hormones to women with high carbs. I'll take them away. You have to be on enzymes. Like a younger woman has many more enzymes than a postmenopausal woman. So I insist they take Vitalzyme or systemic enzymes, Vascuzyme. I insist on water. I insist on some exercise. And if I see their labs go sour, I say, well, I don't know that I'm going to refill your hormones. You got to take care of yourself. And, I've worked since 5:30 or so nonstop. And then when I'm done here in 20 more minutes, then I'm going to go across the street over into the Crunch Gym, and I'm going to work my machines, and I'm going to do that for 40 minutes. And I'm not talking about some 5-minute break between them or talking to someone. I'm just going machine to machine to machine. So yeah, I think hormones are wonderful, and that you should use them. Helen says, how do I get rid of post-nasal drip congestion? I had a bronchial infection the end of March, early April. I had to take antibiotics to recover. Since then, I have a lingering drip in the back of my throat. Is there anything I can do to get rid of it? Helen, I would want to know how old you are, because as you get older, there is something called senile rhinorrhea. And those of us who have senile rhinorrhea, it's just the lining of our mucus and our turbinates on the two sides, and the skin lining our sinuses gets thinner, just like the back of our hands get thinner with aging. And so as the skin gets thinner, it's far more easier for viral penetration, pollens, dust materials to irritate the lining than it did when you were, say, 55, 60. Okay. And so over time, these little irritants occur, the body secretes the mucin, and then you get this drip, 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 drip. And really, there's pretty much nothing you can do about it except take hormones and testosterone for men, maybe a little for women, DHEA for both. And that helps the thickness of it. And then I use my Argentine silver every single day of my life, usually morning and evening, to rinse it so that there aren't lots of holes poked in my membranes there. I eat a rich, healthy, non-processed diet, plenty of meat, fish, chicken, eggs, pork, and uh, very little vegetables. And so that way I'll have all those amino acids and that collagen elastin to work on my sinuses and keep them as clean as possible. I take my systemic enzymes. That helps chew up the mucus and congestion. I'll do a high dose vitamin C drip. That helps my immune system. We make no vitamin C. Try and find a doctor that'll give an immune drip. I make sure my vitamin D level is about 80 or higher. I eat a low carb diet so I don't suppress my immune system. And, you know, those are the things that I do, Helen. Helen goes on also to ask, I was told to take progesterone days 1 through 15 of the month. I read your comments where you recommend days 15 to 25 or something like that. But yeah, that's for girls who are still menstruating on their own. They're young enough and they're healthy enough, and their hypothalamic pituitary gonadal signals, follicle stimulating luteinizing hormones, are still working for them. And so I follow their cycle, but postmenopausal women don't have that anymore. And so we just use a set time during the month. So I'm on the 1st through the 15th. I have no more hormonal activity going on. So I just use my progesterone the 1st through the 15th. I could use it every day, but I like to save money and I like to do it a little more physiologic. And I like to have a very light menstrual cycle every month around the 15th so that I know my uterus and all things are working well in my body so I don't have to check my blood all the time. Because usually postmenopausal women who have any vaginal bleeding at all, everyone gets excited, think it's endometrial cancer or some form of gynecological cancer. And that was what was taught and was justified because very few women were on hormones many decades ago. But I've been on hormones for over 30 years. And I've been regular every monthly cycle. And I feel emotionally stable. I get deep sleep. My bones are solid. I just feel great. And I know that that menstrual bleeding I have every month is because I bring the progesterone in. And then when I stop it, that allows for the drop of progesterone and the cleaning out of my uterus a little bit for the amount of estradiol that I have. I check the blood levels on my patients twice a year usually. And if they bleed outside of that expected time zone, then I'll do a pelvic transvaginal ultrasound. I will do the referral for an endometrial biopsy, things like that. Let's see what else. Um, what do you consider when you prescribe the dates for progesterone? Well, I just explained it. Thanks. Lisa says, during a prolonged fast, is it okay to have medium chain triglyceride oil in coffee? Proven MD phospholipids in water, or the unflavored Pedialyte to help through the days. Yeah, if you take the MCT oil, I'm not going to say you're on a perfect fast or water fast because you're adding in fat, okay? And it is a energy and a metabolite, okay? But if that's all you're doing and that works well for you, some people put butter in their tea or coffee, black tea or coffee. I did that in the beginning, years and years ago, long before Bulletproof was a fan or a rage. Uh, and That's what I did to train myself to start fasting decades ago. So yeah, I think it's a fine, safe thing to do. Now, the proven MD phospholipids, those are the things that are in this that we created together. And those are the little fatty chains that, make the sandwich of the cell membrane. The whole thing goes around it. So that should not be in hot water like coffee. The medium chains, yes. The butter, yes, but not the phospholipids. That should just be in warm water. And I think it's fine. If that's all you do, then you can consider yourself a success. Lynn says, do you think that high potency B2, which is riboflavin, 800 milligrams, and high potency coenzyme Q10, 1,000 milligrams, split morning and evening, might help essential tremors in the hands. What are your thoughts? I have usually worked with people with benign essential familial tremors by doing chelation therapy that helps the whole circulation to the brain, put them on hormone replacement therapy, get their sugars down, and get them eating whole foods and no processed packaged foods. Exercise, and then the body knows how to heal itself, and most of the tremors go away with that approach. I do put them on a methyl B complex. I don't just give riboflavin. I will give them the whole 8 uh, B vitamin compound. Deborah says, I've been happily using Berkey clean water systems for years. They've discontinued the filters for California. Do you have recommendations for other products? Well, I have the Berkey myself right here, and that's what I use. And I'm sad to hear somebody's telling me, no, I can't even get my filters. So I'll have to fly out to Alex Jones in Austin, Texas, and buy a bunch, I guess, and drive home and hope I'm not frisked for water filters. Anyway, I also use the oh my goodness, the Kangen water system. The company is in Torrance, California. So they have excellent service for the Kangen, and they have the water filters there. So those are the two that I use. Maria Elena, okay. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I take Plaquenil, 150 milligrams, but I'm taking Evista for osteoporosis. That's an estrogen blocker, often given to women with breast cancer too. My rheumatologist insists it should be taken with calcium citrate. I have a sensitivity to citric acid, and this calcium makes my body and joints hurt as well. I also have a sensitivity to dairy products. Any ideas how to get the calcium I need? Yeah, eat a whole food diet. Just don't buy any processed foods. Eat, primarily a good meat twice a day, fish twice a day, chicken twice a day, pork twice a day, eggs twice a day. Use a digestive enzyme to help ionize and assimilate that, and that should help you nicely. Or get the TLC multi-mineral here. We use the calcium glycinate, glycinate and orotate. Those are well tolerated. But really, the rich foods are whole natural foods for minerals. We don't need, uh, to try and say, if you look in the plant kingdom compared to the animal kingdom, shellfish is a great source of zinc and other minerals. So I would eat clams and sardines and crab and lobster. It'd be rich in that. Dip it in some butter. Sounds delicious. Kimberly says, I am 50 and in perimenopause. I have factor 5 Leiden factor, okay, another clotting factor, but I've never had a clot myself. Is there any hormone replacement therapy that is okay for me? Yes, I've had many patients with factor 5 Leiden factor or other issues with that. They'll never do a study that if you really drink 2 liters of water a day, or half your weight as pounds as ounces every day, and that you lower your sticky carbs, you don't eat the processed packaged food, you don't eat late at night, you exercise, you take systemic enzymes, no one's going to do a study and compare that with their anticoagulant drugs. But I tell you, I've been practicing 43 years, and no one's ever had a clot that is due to us using these natural methods. So yeah, I would recommend the hormones. And I would watch you, and I would watch your sticky sugars. And if I see you go off or you're not exercising, I'll say, well, I'm not going to refill it. Let's see. Lisa says, I'm sorry if you've already covered this. I did search the blogs and I didn't see anything. Yes, we do blogs, and so you don't have to listen to this. You can kind of look down and see the questions and the topical highlights on this, and you might find something that is interesting to you. Lisa, I'm sorry if you've already covered this. I did search the blogs and didn't see anything. However, what is your opinion on taking Fosamax for the beginning stages of osteoporosis? Minus 2.7, my lower spine. Side effects to watch out for? Oh, yeah. I have never needed drugs to help my patients with osteoporosis, and I use natural hormones. I do all the things I've just told you: exercise and stomping, sudden deceleration, stomp, stomp. And then vitamin D, I get their vitamin D above 100. I check it and their liver enzymes with it. Plenty of water, and I've never seen it fail. It always works. God's ways always work. And then Jennifer says, a friend's daughter has a painful sty on her eye. Is there a way to help it heal naturally? What would you do? Well, I'd put her immediately on a low carb diet. I would check her fasting blood sugar, her triglycerides, her insulin, and the ranges on the labs there are way too tolerant. I would want her fasting blood sugar under 85, triglycerides to be around 50 or 60 or equal to her high density lipoprotein HDL. And I would want the insulin to be 4 or less, and I would want the hemoglobin A1C to be 5.2 or less. And then I would have her use Argentine silver every day, put a drop in her eye. I would use a Q-tip and kind of rub the eyelashes, upper and lower, and that's what I do every day and every night with myself. And then warm compresses, plenty of water, and systemic enzymes. That's what I would do. Marilyn says there's a lot of experts out there making money selling supplements and books that encourage a plant-based diet. As a longtime client of yours, I came to you originally because of symptoms I was having with a vegan diet. You put me on B vitamins and that cleared up. As a blood type O, I especially benefited from 100% grass-fed organic source. I wish I still lived in California because I have yet to meet any healthcare provider here that compares to TLC. Well, Marilyn, how sweet of you to say such a nice compliment. But really, it's our designer, God Almighty Himself. And by the way, they've proven evolution is dead. It's a dead hypothesis, and they've proven the young Earth. So you go look that up. The book traced about how they traced on the male Y chromosome all the migrations over the earth over time due to mutational rate changes, father to son, in a retrograde fashion, and they traced it all the way back to Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah. And then they did the studies on the geological Grand Canyon and showed it's a young Earth that way too. So go to Answers in Genesis, Ken Ham, KENHAM, YouTube them, and you'll see where all that's at. The book is called Traced. Thank you again, Marilyn. So it's God and not me. I'm just his servant. I'm on active duty for his kingdom every day. Marilee, COVID, February 22, no jab, end of the year. I had 4 blood clots. Wow. And you had no jab. You went on Xarelto, clots gone. Starting in August 23, your hematocrit was high, 47. Phlebotomy brought it down to a 44. I've had 5 phlebotomies in the last year in order to bring the hematocrit down. You have a JAX2 mutation negative. Oh, you don't have it. Okay. Your LD is 139, lactate dehydrogenase, ferritin 51. Why is the hematocrit high? Do you live up in the mountains? You'll have a higher hematocrit if you're at a higher elevation. Do you drink enough water? What is your blood type? How old are you? What is your blood sugar and your fruit sugar, fructose? I mean, I would see a good functional doctor. I would, of course, see your hematologist and track that. But we have great success, and I would be on systemic enzymes, Vitalzyme or Vascuzyme. I would be on 4 twice a day all the time to prevent blood clots. Drink your water, lower your sticky sugars, but work with your hematologist and a good functional doctor. Margaret says, have you had any experience with LifeWave 39? Yes, those are the patches. LifeWave is one word, X39. These are crystals in a patch you put on your warm body. It heats them up and it transmits those frequencies into your body. And we're all energy beings anyway. We're vibrational energy. That's a book, Vibrational Medicine. And then the body electric. So every cell membrane, across that membrane, there is a potential from the inside to the outside of the cell. An electric potential will jump and you'll get an impulse. It's about 90 millivolts. And so, yeah, you gotta keep your water, keep your salt, and keep your exercise, and keep your electricity right in your body. So I've never seen any problems with that patch. So it helps with stem cell production. You're right. And so it's very good. Zoe says, I am a 52-year-old female. I still have regular periods. They tend to be heavy. Other than that, no signs of menopause. I strength train at the gym 6 days per week. I am holding on to fat, 14 pounds, that I can't get rid of, even with calorie deficit. I know you are pro wild yam cream. Please advise on how to apply it and when. Zoe, by the time you get to 52, you're probably not ovulating at all. If that, only extremely rarely, maybe once a year or twice. And then you're estrogen dominant. Estrogen dominant signals stress on the body, and the hypothalamic axis gets stress signals. Those stress signals are showing the age changes. It holds on to calories because it is a benefit when stress is coming to accumulate calories because you're going to possibly get sick, the body thinks. And so it holds on to this. But if you had the progesterone and you did it cyclically, day 15 through 25, or in your case, I would probably do it if you're at 52. I would just say use it the 1st through the 15th, and I would use 3, 4, 5, 6 pumps of Kokoro cream to get enough progesterone in. Otherwise, see a doctor who can give you 200 milligram capsule or stronger cream. And then your period, your lining will clean out. And when you start this, you'll get a big, heavy period clean out, but then it'll slow down if you keep it your progesterone the 1st through the 15th, the 1st through the 15th, the 1st through the 15th of every month. And then what will happen is your period, your uterus will get thinner, and the lining normal. Because right now you're just in build up the lining in estrogen dominance. I would watch alcohol. Alcohol falsely raises the estradiol and makes heavy periods. And so that's what I would do there. So we answered all those. It's time for me to end. Let me see if I missed anything here. I got to. Do you believe everyone should be taking methylated B vitamins? I do. Again, that's largely because the food system is so horrible. Industrialized farming is so raping of the food line processing. Yeah. So and methylation is an anti-cancer treatment too, among many other benefits. I was told I'm an undermethylator. Then please use methylated B complex. What about over methylators? What about over methylators? I'm not. It's water soluble, so you'd pee them away. So I'm not worried about that. Brett says thank you. Heidi says I'm in Oklahoma now. Lots of laughs. Send the filters to my house and I'll ship them to you. There you go. I had a friend do the same for me on some supplements I couldn't get when I lived in California, so I understand. Well, there you go, Heidi. Carolyn says, can you recommend a device to monitor blood sugar throughout the day? I don't. I am trying to save money for my patients, and I think discipline and a checkup with your doctor should be adequate. All this fancy stuff, money costing, things sticking to you, apps on your phone, transmitting data to God knows who, in what country, where. I am just not in favor of that much online exposure to my health. So no, I don't recommend them. Deja said, could EDTA chelation help with cognitive impairment? Oh my goodness, yes. All the Alzheimer's, all I've had people who were put on Aricept and drugs uh, for Alzheimer's, and they were told their wives, your company should be just shut down. Have your husband give it over to the junior or the new CEO, and let them just grow demented slowly and shut things up. So they changed their diet, they exercised, they did chelation, and what do you know? It didn't progress, and he got off the Aricept. So no, look, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Give the glory to God where it's all rightfully to go. Our DNA, for the most part, if you have a good coach to help you work with healthy lifestyles, will get you there. So I got to go work out now, and I will see you next week. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I do look and I try and answer comments. And then share this with a friend. And may the Lord bless and keep you until we see you next week. God bless. Bye bye.